Okay, after creating the first Spring Boot project, so the Spring Boot itself take care of create. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Now see, I am placing some system.out.println statements inside the main method. Okay, first we will try to understand about the control flow. Okay, system.out.println. Okay, let me say main2, and let me say main1 here. Okay, main2 main1. So very simple. You create the first simple Spring Boot app. Okay, by default the Spring Boot itself creates the class as well as the main method. Okay, the class name of the class will be same as the name of the project, but the application will get appended. Application gets appended. So what happens if I just start hitting the run button? You know the control flow, right? Everyone are aware of that. You know the control will always start from the main method. Yes or no? It applies the same for Spring Boot also. Even though it is a Spring Boot application, internally it using Java programming language. If I run this code, you can guess the answer. If I run this code as the Spring Boot app, and if you see the console, you would see a lot of things. Internally it is doing a lot of things. Okay, see, let us try to see the output of the console. Okay, you see main1 here, and you see some some Spring what we call it as. It says that the application is a Spring Boot application, and you see what you see main2 here. So many things are happening behind the scenes. Let us try to trace this in the common paint screen. Okay, so let me put this in the paintbrush. So we know that. Okay, so when you want to execute the Java program, so JVM has to get activated. Yes or no? So that is a JVM, right? So this is the JVM. Okay, JVM will create a thread which is called as what? Which is called as the main thread. Yes or no? Okay, main thread get access to the main method. These things are very common. After getting access to the main method, the first line is what? Main1. Main1 will be displayed in the console. Okay, and it encounters the second line. So this is very, very important. And if you look at the second line, okay, the second line says something like Spring Boot application dot, that is calling a method called run method. Inside this run method, okay, it is passing two arguments. One is the dot class file of the current project, comma, some arguments like args. Forget about everything. Because of this line, okay, the Spring Boot will create a container. I will tell you what is a container. So this line will ensure that a small container will be created inside the JVM. Okay, so let us expand this. So this small container would run on top of the JVM. What is this? This is a container. The name of this container is what? This typically we call this container as IOC container. Okay, so because of the second line, IOC container will be created. Why this IOC container and what is the purpose of the IOC container? We will try to study that bit by bit. Okay, and the next line is called as what? Next line is what? The last line is system.out.println. Again, main2 has to get displayed in the console. After completing executing the main method, typically JVM will be destroyed. Okay, the one thing that you have to understand is this line is making a lot of difference, which is what? Spring application dot run method. Inside that it is accepting two arguments. One is the dot class file of the the main class, and second one is something like args. So typically what it is doing is a container is getting created. This is ensuring that a container is getting created in the JVM. What is that container? What is the name of the container? The name of the container is IOC container. What is this IOC container? We'll understand that. Hello? Making sense still now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Just remember this, what we call it as this IOC. IOC. What is this IOC? You'll understand that. Okay. Now, tell me one thing, guys. See, I have two classes. Listen, let's see who is going to answer this. I have two classes, class A and class B. Okay. And if the developer wants to create an object for the class A and class B, what is the typical way to create an object? So in the main method, somewhere in the main method, you would say A obj equal to new A. Okay, B obj. What? Let us say that this is 1, this is 2. Obj 2 equal to new B. Here, focus on this new keyword. Focus on this new keyword. So new. Okay. So whenever an object is, now focus here. Whenever an object is created by the developer, whenever any object that is getting created by the developer. Here, there are two objects. Okay, and these objects are created by using the new keyword. Focus here. These objects are created by using the new keyword, and these objects are created by the developer. These objects are created by what? By whom? By the developer. Okay. So these are the ordinary Java objects. Why they are ordinary Java objects? These objects are typically created by the developers. Okay, and let us say that if you instruct Spring Boot to create an object on behalf of the developer. Let me repeat, if you direct the Spring Boot or if you direct the framework to create an object, to create objects on behalf of okay, so they are called as what? They are called as beans. Very simple. Whenever an object is created explicitly by the developer, they are called as what? Ordinary Java objects, or simply you can say as objects. But if you direct the framework to create objects on behalf of you, the objects that are created by the framework, in our case, the objects that are created by the Spring Boot, okay, they are called as what? They are called as beans. Question is, we will understand about this. You will understand later how the Spring Boot is going to create objects. First, the idea is, are you able to differentiate between beans and the objects? Are you able to understand this, the minute difference, this marginal difference?
Yes, sir.
Beans means you allow Spring Boot to create objects. Okay, and one more thing, beans means you will never see the new keyword. Very, very important point. You will never encounter a new keyword in your application because you are letting the Spring Boot to create an object on behalf of you. They are called as beans. When you create an object, they are called as objects. Okay, and beans are very, very special, guys. Remember, beans are very, very special. They are not an ordinary objects, and they will have some benefits. They will have some special benefits. They will get some special benefits. Okay, that's why they are called as what? That should be a differentiation, right? So when an objects are getting some special benefits, they are not called as objects anymore. They are called as beans. Very simple. For now, we will keep it very simple. Okay. Now the question, what is this IOC container? So we have understood about this. What is this IOC? What is IOC? Okay, by let me give my explanation. Let me give my definition. IOC is nothing but inversion of control. It is the standard, what we call it as acronym. Inversion of IOC stands for inversion of control. Means rather the developer takes responsibility in creating, managing, and destroying the objects, you will give the control to the framework. Inversion of control is what? The control is inverted. The control is inverted from developer to the framework. It is inverted. Control is completely inverted. Means you don't take care of creating an object anymore. Rather, what you would do, you would say, hey Spring Boot, create an object for me. You will instruct Spring Boot, but how we are going to instruct the Spring Boot, we will understand that later. Understand the concept. IOC is also called as IOC is a principal case. It's a very principle. Okay, by definition, it means developer will not take any responsibility. If the developer is not taking any responsibility in creating or managing or destroying objects, okay, instead of doing all these things by the developer will leave it to the framework. This principle is called as what? Inversion of control. Inversion of control, because the control is inverted from developer to framework. Slowly I will be injecting you the control flow of the in the framework level. Okay, you have to understand all these things so that in the end we will connect all the dots. So what I have said till now, I have said what is an object. Now you know what is an object. What is an object? If you create an object with a new keyword, it's an object. What is a bean? If you give the control to the framework, if you let the framework to create an object, those created objects are called as what? Beans, because they are very special. They are created by the framework. What is IOC? IOC is what? IOC is a principle. Developer will not take any responsibility in creating, managing, destroying the objects. Instead of that, he will give the control to the framework. The question is, what is this IOC container? What is this IOC container? Okay, IOC container is what? Let us say class A. Okay, inside the, let us say you have two classes, class A and class B. Okay, I want to give the responsibility to the framework to create objects for this class A and class B. If the developer takes responsibility, it's very simple, right? A obj equal to new A. So no, B obj equal to new B. Okay, so how do you give the control to the container? How do you give the control to the how do you give the control to the framework so that the framework will create object which is also called as beans? What you will do, simply you annotate this class with @component. Okay, @component here and @component here. On every class, you will annotate this with @component. What happens? See, let me write this in the code. Okay, let me remove this. So I am taking two more classes, guys. So instead of taking the generic classes, let me take the engine class. Okay, and let me take another class, car class. Tell me how many classes we have in this project. Hello, three classes are there. Right? Three classes. Okay, this is the main class and these are two classes. When you start hitting the run button, it's very simple. Now you got the control flow. Main thread gets created, main thread gets access to the main method. All the instructions inside the main method will get executed. There is only one instruction, which is line number 2, line number 12. This line number 12 will create an IOC container. IOC container. So what is this IOC container? That should be understood now. It creates an IOC container. Okay. So now see, when I say engine E equal to new engine, focus here. Let me keep one method. This will be very, very interesting. Focus. Engine engine start. I'm taking a normal method, okay, so that you will understand the control flow. So I'm taking a method like void engine start. I'm taking another method inside the car class like void. Let me say car start. Car start, a simple statement. Okay, engine started. So here car started. Now see, I am saying engine E equal to new engine, car E equal to new car. car C, let me say car C equal to new car. So two objects are created. These objects are created by whom? By the developer or not? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now if I just try to say E dot engine start, okay, and C dot car start. You know, okay, you know the output is very simple. You can guess the output. Okay, again the main thread gets started, main thread will be created, main thread will get access to the main method, post instruction IOC container will be created, and we are not using this IOC container. We are not using this IOC container. So big C, focus here. These 4 lines are doing something which is not even required. To achieve such things, you don't even need to, you know, develop this application in the Spring Boot. Again, we are following the same Java pattern here. Okay, so you know the main JVM will be activated, main thread will be created, main thread gets access to the main method. Okay, and this is going to ensure that an IOC container will be created. Let me say this is the IOC container. Okay, this is JVM, this is IOC container. IOC container. IOC container. So, and if you see this line, engine, car, okay, you're using the new keywords, right? So for this new keywords in the heap area, 2 new objects will be created, right? This reference is E and this reference is C. Okay, and you can, what we call this, you can just call the engine start method and car start method comfortably. Okay, but these are ordinary Java objects. But what I want to do here is I'm making a small change here. Focus here. I'm just making a small change here. What I'm doing is I'm just adding @component. Okay, before that, what is the proof that the objects are getting created? Can I add a constructor here? Hello? If I add a constructor and if I just say system.outer.println, I can say engine constructor. And again, if I add a car constructor, okay, and if I add the system.outer.println, okay, car constructor. Can you tell me the output now? Anyone? Let's see who is going to answer this. If I run this code, what would be the output case? I have a constructor also. I have the no argument constructor also. Can someone tell me what would be the output?
Engine con, car con, engine started, car
Very good,
started.
very good. Because this is the proof. See, when the constructor is called, that is the proof that objects are getting created. Yes or no? Hello? Can I say that when you see this constructor is getting executed, it means it is guaranteed that the objects are getting created behind the scenes. Yes or no? Do you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Hello? This is a very simple Java concept. Okay, let us see this in the output. You would see engine con, car con, constructors are created. This is the ideal proof. Engine started, car started. You know what I am doing? I do not want the developer to create object. Not want this. I do not want to use a new keyword. Okay, I am relying on the framework. I want the framework to create objects. In order to instruct the framework, a Spring Boot framework, okay, please create an object for the engine class. Okay, what you would do, you would just annotate that with @component. This is the typical way of communicating with the framework, letting the framework to create an object for what class? Engine class. Okay, and if I want to let the framework to create an object for the car class, I will annotate that with @component. See, you will get a lot of confusion now. I'm introducing something which you have never heard before. Okay, these are the framework related topic. Pay attention. Okay, you will get the complete utilization of this component. Okay, what I did, I just said @component. Do you see any new keyword in the main method? Now, no, let me remove all this. Okay, nothing is there, right?
Sir, even method will be called.
Which method?
You created using component, no? So that will call the method also. Void engine start.
No.
Or only construct.
Only objects.
Okay.
Only objects. I mean, at least see if I run this code, what will happen behind the scenes we'll understand. Okay, so let me run this code. I will tell you what is happening behind the scenes. You are seeing car con, you are seeing engine con. Are you seeing anywhere that a new keyword has been used for the engine and the car? Who is creating this? That should be the question, right? What is happening behind the scenes? Okay, focus here. Behind the scenes, amazing things are happening behind the scenes. Okay, what are they? We put the code here. We okay. Let us transfer this from here to here. Okay, so you know that the main thread we created and JVM gets activated, main thread gets created, it gets access to the main method, all blah 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 blah, and the first only one instruction is there, is what? Something like string application dot run. So what did I just say? On top of JVM, so when this is the JVM, okay, inside the JVM you see a logical space for the IOC container. I'm just expanding this for the understanding. Okay, I'm just expanding this. Let us say that this is the logical space, this is the IOC container. This is the JVM and this is the IOC container. For doing all this, are you able to see an annotation like @Spring Boot application? Hello? So inside this annotation, there is one more popular annotation. So it is a combination of three annotations. Okay, don't worry about that. Spring Boot application internally has one more annotation component scan. Component scan. This component scan will check each and every, is there any classes that is annotated with @component or not. What it is going to do? It is going to scan all the packages, all the classes, and it will check, is there any class that is annotated with @component or not. How many classes we have with the annotation @component? This is one and this is two classes, right? So now what behind the scenes, the container will create an objects for these two classes. Do we call it as an object or do we call it as a bean? Who is creating an objects now?
Beans, sir.
Beans. So what happens internally? Okay, two objects are created. See, one object is created, second object is created. Okay, and this is what internally it will have its own reference. You do not have to worry about the reference. For now, let us take that this is the car object and this is the car object and this is the engine object. You do not have to worry about the references. These references will be given internally. Framework will take care of the references. Okay. What framework has done? Framework has done that two objects are getting created. Why two objects are getting created? There are two classes that is annotated with @component. Engine class is there. Components class is there. Right? So what it usually do? Two objects are created. What is the first object? Engine object, right? So when an engine object is created, don't you think that engine constructor will be called? Don't you think that this is an ideal proof that object is getting created somewhere behind the scenes? Yes or no? Agree with that?
Yes, sir.
And again, when the car class object is created, okay, don't you see this constructor will be called?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and these two are called as what? You don't call them as objects anymore. Call them as what? Beans. Why beans? They are created by the framework. Where it is getting created? It is getting created in a container, a logical entity, which is called as what? The IOC container. Everybody understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now see, you are just able to see the objects. Okay. Now let me go back to the code. Okay. So again, there are two types of IOC containers. So the legacy one is you have something like bean factory. These are just the what we call it as a kind of qualification. So just a kind of qualification. Okay, they are types. Okay, everywhere you see Apple phone, you see Samsung phone. Okay, so there is some kind of everywhere there is a competition, right? There will be some types. There will be some versions from lower version to higher version. Okay, so bean factory is a lower version and application context is the latest version. The latest one is what? Application context. So IOC container, the name of the container is what? The application context. It can be bean factory also, but bean factory is a legacy one. So nowadays Spring Boot is using application context. Okay, these beans are inside the IOC container, which is called as which is also called as the application context. So what does it really mean? Okay, so this is going to return, okay, this line number 13 is going to return a container of what type? Application context. Able to understand? This is it is going to, I mean, this typical nothing but it is creating a container. It's creating a container. I'm using a reference variable. The name of the variable itself is a container. The container is of what type? Application context type. Which means, so this container will be, okay, this container will be acting as a reference. This container will be acting as a reference. Will be acting as a reference. So by using this container, you can get access to these objects. Able to follow? If you have 2 objects, you can able to get access to this object. If you have 3 objects, you can get access to. If you have 1000 objects, you can be able to get access to any one of those objects by using this reference. Are you able to understand?
Okay.
Let me put it in a
Yes,
different
sir.
way. I will clear your confusion. Okay. What I want to catch the reference object reference of engine class. Okay, engine class object is created inside where, guys? Engine class object is inside the container. Okay, the name of the container is application context. I have given a reference container. Okay, I will just make use of this container reference. Okay. I want to get the object. Object means what? I want to get the bean. I will use the get bean method. I will ask for the class. I will pass the name of the class here. What is name of the class? Engine.class. I am getting the bean. I am getting the bean is nothing but the object. I am getting the object reference of engine class. Okay. I am assigning it to a variable. Let us say that the engine variable. You can keep any meaningful name. Okay. Over here, I am using what? I am using the what type? It is what? It is getting the class type, right? Engine type. Okay. By using this reference, I can call all the methods inside in the class. Able to follow? Run this. Car con engine started. Are you seeing anywhere new keyword here? Hello?
No, sir.
Again repeating, line number 15, it is going to, I mean, this part is going to create a container. A container is created. Okay, container is of what type? Okay, there are 2 types, bean factory and application context. Latest one is application context. Okay, I'm keeping it as application context here. I'm giving the reference container here. Okay, what happened behind the scenes? Reference container has been created. Yes or no? By using this reference, I'm getting the bean. Container dot get bean. Okay, I can get the bean of car or I can get the bean of engine. Okay, after getting the respective bean, if I'm getting the bean of engine, when the bean is of engine type, okay, I should catch that bean of the respective class type. Yes or no? Hello? I'm getting the bean of engine
Yes, sir.
type. So it is nothing but you are just getting the reference. That's it. Reference of the particular object. This engine is nothing but the reference. Okay, you are storing this reference of that particular object inside the what? Inside the engine reference here. So this is the container reference. Okay, inside that, okay, you are collecting the reference of the container. I am storing that in the engine reference. Meaningful name. By using this reference, you are calling engine.start. If you want to get the reference of the car, I should use the same container dot get bean. This time I should get the bean of what? Car dot class, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now I can give any meaningful name here. Car. Now I got the reference of car dot car start. Now tell me one thing, okay? Tell me frankly, have you understood about what is a IOC container? First, tell me that yes or no. What is an IOC container?
Yes,
It is
sir.
a logical entity. Logical entity. Okay, it will be created by the Spring Boot. By default, we created a Spring Boot, and you can take reference. Okay, you are using the application context. So what this container is going to do? This container is going to store the beans. What is a beans? The objects that are created by the framework, they are called as beans. Why they are called as beans? Okay, because they are very special. They are not like an ordinary object. Okay, they will get some additional benefits. We will see that benefits in the future classes. Okay, and the life cycle of the beans, this life cycle, okay, the creation, the management, the destruction, it will be taken care by what? Will be taken care by this IOC container. Okay, let me show the what we call it as the actual definition. Now you will understand. An IOC container is a framework component that implements inversion of control. Okay? In the Spring Boot framework, the IOC container is responsible for what? Creating objects. What is objects? Beans. Wiring dependence. We'll see that now. Managing life cycle of the objects means managing life cycle of the beans from initialization to the destruction. Providing configuration. These are some additional benefits. Okay. This I'm talking about IOC container. What is IOC? IOC stands for inversion of control. I have given you my definition. Now look at the definitions that is written in the books. It means you don't create and manage objects yourself in your code. Developers do not create or manage the objects. Instead, you give that control to the framework or the container, like the Spring framework. Able to follow? This why
Yes,
we
sir.
are doing this? So you might be thinking, sir, we are very much happy with the new keyword. Why we have to go for this? Okay, you will understand the benefits of beans. There are, you have some a lot of benefits of creating an object, giving the object creation to the framework. They will understand in the long run. Okay, so you have to get used to these concepts. Now, from now onwards, think of objects, think it as like a beans. Okay, don't call it objects anymore. Able to follow?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let us understand about the dependency injection. Okay, this is also very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. So what is it? See, when I have a class, let me say, so this is where the Spring Boot stands based. Spring Boot stands because of this dependency injection. Okay, I have an engine class. So inside this engine class, let me say, let us take the same example. Let's take the same example. Okay. I have what? I have the engine start method. Inside engine class, I have the engine start method. Very straightforward. Okay. And I have the another class which is called car class. So inside this car class, I have a method called car start method. Car start method. See, now what I'm saying is my car, okay, if I want to start the car, I want to start the car, I want to start the engine, which means I am this car is depending on the engine class. Okay. So my car, so here this engine class has no references. It is completely independent. Okay. Engine is just an engine. Inside that, a very method, a very simple method, engine start method. Nothing to worry about this. But my car is depending upon what? Depending upon the another class or an external class, which is an engine class. Okay. So the car becomes the dependent class. Okay. My car is depending upon which class? Engine class. Okay, this becomes the dependency class. Are you able to understand this first of all? What is a dependent class? Are you able to differentiate now? What is a dependent class and what is a dependency class?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now There are two ways to inject the dependencies again. One way is developer can inject them manually. So what the developer is going to do? Developer will create a constructor. This constructor is going to do what? Simply this constructor is going to accept the argument, accept the engine argument, engine from outside. Okay. This dot engine equal to new. Engine. You want to inject the dependency manually. Example. Okay. So now what I have an option like I will create an object engine e equal to new engine. Okay. Second one is I will create an object like car c equal to new car, but my car is depending upon the engine. I have to pass this reference. Focus here. If I create the objects manually, first of all I have to create the object of the dependency class so that I can pass this dependency to my dependent class. Are you able to follow?
Yes, sir.
This is the dependency class, no? Engine. Car depends on engine. First of all, I need to create an engine. Then I can place my engine inside the car. That is what I have done. How this injection is happening? How this dependency injection is happening? Are you able to see the new keyword here? Yes or no? New keyword is there, and also you are forced to create the dependency object first. Are you able to follow? You are forced to create the dependency object first. Okay, and you are passing that to the car object. In future, there will be a lot of dependencies. Okay, there will be something like class A. Okay, class A, and from class B. Class B depends on A. Okay, class C depends on B. Okay, and class D depends on C. Dependency chaining. This means dependency chaining. Okay, if the class B is depending on A, like this case, let me put it in. Chain of dependencies. Class B is depending on A. Okay. And class C is depending on B. Class D is depending on C. How the object creation will happen? Don't you think that first I have to create an object for class A? Class A equal to, A equal to new A. Okay, then I have to create an object for B equal to new B. Then I have to inject the reference of class A. Then I have to create an object for C equal to new C. And I have to inject the object reference of B. Then I have to create an object for D equal to new D. Then I have to inject the object of C. I have to follow what I'm trying to say. Chain, dependency chain. One class is dependent on another. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what if I say these things will be taken care by the framework? These dependencies will be injected by the framework itself. Do not have to worry about this. What if I say that? Example, let us do this manually first. Let us follow the manual approach first. Okay, let me remove this constructor. Let me remove this component, not required. Let me remove this component, not required. So manually means my car is depends on engine. Okay, let me take the engine reference here. Okay, and create a constructor. Source. Generate constructor using fields. Okay. So I have the simple, let me remove constructor. Okay. I have simple engine class, just the engine start method. I have simple car class, which is depending upon the engine class. So inside my car start method, firstly I will start engine. I will take the reference of this, okay, and I will start engine. First, the output will be engine will be started, then the car will be started. Right? So what I'm going to do here is, if I want to follow this process manually without depending upon the framework, engine object needs to be created first. Yes or no? the dependency object has to be created first, so that that dependency object will be injected to the dependent object. Okay, since the new keyword is being used, okay, this is being done by the developer. What I can do, I can use this reference, C reference dot, I can call the car start method. This car start method will internally call the, the engine start method of the engine class. Okay, this is how the dependency are injected manually. Able to follow? Manual means a lot of work. See? Hello? What if I want to give the controller to the framework? Okay. First, if you want to give the controller to the framework, so we need to create beans. So this is mandatory, right? Alternate component is mandatory. Hello?
Yes.
Component. Okay. And alternate component. Now tell me, which is the dependency object here? Dependency object as per the code. Engine is a dependency object, right? So here the dependency injection is happening through the constructor. Yes or no? Constructor is taking care of injecting the dependency. If you want to give this job to the application context or the container or the Spring Boot or the framework to inject the dependency by itself, you will use an annotation called @auto. What is this auto wire? It is an annotation. What it is going to do? It's going to do the auto wiring. What wiring? It will wire the respective dependency of the respective from the respective class. What does it mean? This constructor is of car type. It's a car class constructor which is expecting the engine class as a dependency. That dependency will be injected inside the constructor itself. This concept is called as what? The dependency injection. Okay. So now you tell me, by using the get bean method, which bean I can get it here? Car bean or engine bean? It would be completely okay if I get only the car bean, right? No worries. There will be a confusion. Let me do this. I will explain you what is actually happening behind the scenes. Let me remove all this. Okay. And let me also remove this. Now focus here. Okay, now tell me the control. So you see what? There is a JVM, right? JVM gets activated. Very basic thing. Okay, JVM will create the main main thread get access to the main method. Okay, the first instruction is what? String application dot run. Okay, and this line will create a container inside the JVM. Okay, let me put that container on top of the JVM. Okay, so let me put the container on top of the JVM. Okay, this is what the IOC container. Okay, and it will check the annotation. What is this annotation? Spring Boot application. Okay, inside the Spring Boot application, there is a annotation called as what the component scan. Component scan. This component scan annotation will scan all the classes, okay, that is possessing @ component. So there are two classes which is annotated with @ component. Okay, so these classes, it will create the beans for this class. So how many beans? Two beans. Okay, one is engine class bean. Second one is what? The car class bean. Okay, after this, it will also scan for the @ Autowired classes. Okay, these things will happen internally. This is what it is happening. Now this is what the control is. Till here, what I am doing here is I am adding one line here. What is that line? Container. Inside this container, get the bean of car class, car dot class. Okay, so this car class will return an object reference of car. Okay, just by using this object reference, I can call what? I can call the car start method. Okay, sir. These two lines I am adding. If I run this code, engine also started. Engine also started. Car also started. What is happening? Okay, line number 20 and 21. You should pay much attention here. Line number 20 and 21. Okay, line number 20. What is the line number 20? Okay, the main thread is encountering this line number 20, which says it is saying to get the bean of what? Get the bean of car. Get the bean of car. But if you look inside the car, this car has the dependency object of an engine. This dependency object is getting injected to a constructor, and you have used the @ Autowired. Autowired. So this car class will be, the engine class will be injected. This engine class will be injected to the car class by the framework itself. Because of this Autowired annotation. Spring Boot knows now very well. So the developer has used Autowired annotation. It means he is expecting the dependency object. Okay, this dependency object will be injected by the framework itself. Okay, look at the previous injection and look at the current injection. Previously, how did we do the injection? So, see, look at the work that we have done so far. Previously, how the injection happened. You have used, first you have created the dependency object, then you have created the dependent object, then you have injected that manually, then you are starting the car method. Here are you able to see anything like this? Only object is created for the car class. Who has injected the dependency of engine here? Are you able to understand what I am trying to say?
Yes.
Framework is injecting. See, for these two things, you're not seeing much difference. Okay, I have explained you, right, the chaining dependency. If you have 10 chaining dependency, only these two lines would be sufficient. All the injection will happen behind the scenes. You do not have to worry about that. Not have to do all these injections manually. That's what I'm trying to say here. Don't you think that is going to be a little bit useful? I mean, in the first time, it will be a little difficult to grasp everything. Okay, but this is how this framework works. Okay, it will in the beginning it is going to teach you what is a container and what is a bean. Okay, how dependencies are injected, how objects are created. Are you able to understand? This is how the framework works. You have to forget about the Java object creation. This is the beginning of Spring Boot application. Are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you just look at this theory, now the theory will make more sense. Okay, if you read this theory without even listening to my class, it will be very difficult for you to understand what the theory says. What is dependence injection? Dependence injection is a design pattern. Okay, and way to implement inversion of control IOC. Look at this line. Instead of class creating its own dependencies by using new keyword. Okay, what does it mean? Instead of class creating dependencies, its own dependencies by using new keyword. This is what it says. These lines. This is what the classes are creating. Normal classes. Okay, I mean the normal developers, without taking the help of container, if you are asked to create the inject the dependency, we can inject the dependency manually. No issues. No problem with that. But this is how we are going to inject it. Instead of creating class its own dependency by using new keyword, two new keywords, and you are doing it manually. Those dependencies are given injected to it from the outside by whom? By the IOC container like Spring. IOC is doing that, but what is making the IOC to do that? Okay, this Autowired annotation. Are you able to follow?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now again one more follow-up question. In how many ways you can inject the dependency in the Spring Boot framework? How many ways? What are the ways to inject the dependencies in the Spring Boot? There are 3 dependency injections. One is the first one, the most popular one, constructor dependency injection. Second one is setter dependency injection. Third one is what? Field dependency injection. Very simple. Constructor means when the dependencies are injected using a constructor. Okay, in our case, we have injected the dependency by using what? By using a constructor. Okay. If I want to go with the field, okay, let me comment this. If I say the field dependency injection, you will just mark this variable with @Autowired. On what? On the respective field or on the respective properties. This is called as what? The field dependency injection. If I run this code, you would see the same output. Able to see? Who is injecting this? Framework is injecting this. How it is injecting this? Because you use @Autowired. Now the framework knows very well. Oh, the developer is trying to inject the dependency, engine dependency into the car. Okay, how it is going to know? Because you use @Autowired on where? I mean, on which area? On the field area, on the property, on the respective property. Able to follow?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I mean, what this is constructor. This is field injection. What is the setter injection? Very simple. Use the setter. What is the setter? You will generate a setter. You know what is setter, right? Source, generate getters and setters. So you generate setters. Generated or not? Okay, so it is generated here. On setter, you will use @Autowired. Okay, this is a method. This is not a constructor. This is a method. So this is a constructor because there is no return type. You know this basics, Java basics. It's a setter, which means you are using a method to inject a dependency. When you use a method to inject a dependency, that is called setter dependency injection. When you use a constructor to inject the dependency, that is called constructor dependency injection. Or when you use a property to inject a dependency, that is called what? Field dependency injection. This is also going to, yield the same result. There will be no difference. Able to see? But the question is, which should you use? That should be the question, right? Which is very much recommendable. Any idea? Okay, I recommend to go for constructor dependency injection always, because it will be more flexible when you want to do the testing. Okay, see, types of dependency injection. Constructor dependency injection. Dependencies are injected via constructor. Making sense? Very much preferred in Spring for immutable in testing. Next one is setter. Dependency injections via setter method. Again, Autowired on the setter method field. Dependency injected into the field, but not recommended for large project. If you want to doing small project, it is completely fine. Why not recommended? Because testing will be difficult, but still the output is going to yield the same output. But when you want to test it, you are going to have to do a lot of configurations. You have to do a lot of changes. Not recommended for testing, but it is everything is going to yield the same result. Making sense? Okay,
Sure.
you have to understand few things here. Okay, I'm not pushing you much. I'm keeping the things very simple, very simple. You don't get this explanation anywhere. Trust me, I'm keeping it very simple. Okay, what are the things that we have learned today is, now you know what is an IOC container. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
What is an IOC container? Okay, it is a container that is running inside the JVM, running on top of the JVM. Okay, how many types of IOC container as per our definition? There is a bean factory, old one. So there is an application context, right? So we have used application context. Two IOC containers. Now, what is an auth component? You know what is auth component? When you mark any class with auth component, don't you think that you are giving an instruction to the framework to create an object? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are they objects? They are beans, right?
Beans.
They are beans. Okay. You can use this annotation only on top of the classes. On top of any class, you can use this annotation, auth component. Auth component is making sense. Okay. What is auth Autowired? When one class is depends on another class. Okay, here class B is the class B depending, class B, let us not B is here. Class B is depending on A. Class B depends on A. Now the A becomes the dependency class. If you want to inject the dependency manually, you have to manually create two objects and make sure that injection is dependency injected accordingly. But when you give the job to the framework, you can just simply annotate. You can inject the dependency by using the constructor or setter or field. You just have to annotate this with Autowired. Making sense?
Yes, sir.
What else we have seen? IOC content is done, auth component is done, this is done, and I know we have understood about the what is the inversion of control. So what is dependency injection? DI. Basic things. Okay. Now if you see here one thing, if you see here our application is not connected to any server. This is a simple application where we have understood about these simple things. Okay, tomorrow we will start a server. So when I say I start a server, okay, let me take this example. Okay, let me take this example. When I say I start a server, now let me run this. Actually, we have understood so many things, right? HTTP, TCP connection, port number, so many things you have discussed, right? So this is the application which is also going to start a server. Okay, and you would see something like Tomcat server is running on port number 8080. Okay, now I can use the browser Google. Okay, I can use my URL. Okay, I have defined an URL here. I can use that API data. This is the endpoint. Tomorrow we will see this. I'm just giving you about the server picture. Okay, you will see something like in the console. Hello from Spring Boot API. Okay, now here The server is running in the same machine and the client is running the same machine. Tomorrow I am going to give a demonstration in such a way that you can use your mobile phone as the server. Let me repeat. Okay, the reason why I am telling you this, I will be giving you some task. Mobile phone. Okay, you can use your mobile phone as your server, and you can run the application in your laptop. Mobile phone is a server. Laptop is mobile phone is the client. I'm sorry, mobile phone is the client, and laptop is the server. Okay, you create an URL, something like URL will be followed by HTTP dot IP address of your system dash endpoint. Any endpoint you can give, meaningful endpoint. If you call this endpoint from your mobile, okay, you will see the results in the mobile. You see this result in the mobile. We can also do one more thing. Sudhir can activate his laptop in his location, which can be acting as a client, and Balaji can send a request to Sudhir's laptop from a different location. Are you able to understand?